Hello and welcome back to another video for your favorite English school. Today we're looking at Unit 10 for our elementary book, and in this book we'll be covering the grammar of Unit 10. We have three important items. The first one is the ing form, such as dancing, working, and we're going to see a new use for these type of words. Also, we're going to check going to as an expression for the future. Finally, we're going to check the difference between present perfect and the simple past. Let's start. The ing form. First off, let's mention that it is used to describe activities. There are names of activities actually, so we can also say names of activities. Also, it is used after verbs, such as like, love, or hate. However, there are more verbs, and you can ask your teacher for these combinations. Number 1, 2, and 3 are examples of ing verbs used as activities, names of activities. Number 1, smoking is bad for your lungs. Smoking is bad for your lungs. In this case, smoking is not a verb, is the activity. The activity of smoking affects your lungs. Number 2, having a car is very convenient. Having a car is very convenient. There again we have the ing termination, or the ing ending, and it's also not a verb, it is the name of an activity. But in this case, it has a little more. Having a car, not just having. The third one, if we want to use a negative form of the ing, we say not doing your homework affects your grade. Not doing your homework affects your grade. Even though it is a verb, it is not considered as such, so we're going to call these gerunds. The ing, such as in here, here, and here, are gerunds. Remember that. It's going to be important. Okay. We also use these ing verbs after certain verbs. Those three verbs that we're checking today are love, like, or hate. We have three examples. Number 1, I love going to rock concerts. I love going to rock concerts. In this case, the verb is not going, the verb would be love, and going would be the name of an activity. In the second one, I don't like walking too much. I don't like walking too much. Like would be our verb, and walking would be our activity. In the third one, I hate losing data from my computer. I hate losing data from my computer. Here we have our verb hate and the name of an activity, of our activity, that is losing. Okay, now the second item we're checking today is plans and intention for the future. That expression we're going to use is the expression going to. And it is also very important to mention that it is always used with the verb to be, such as is, are, am, was. Well, in this case, only those three, because we're talking about the future. Later, we're going to use was and were in another lesson. Let's begin. The affirmative is very simple. It is very simple as long as you always use the elements that you need. In the example, she is going to travel to Mexico. She is going to travel to Mexico. We have the elements of our formula. We have she, which is the subject, is the verb to be. It is never absent in these cases. Our expression going to, and then our verb in simple form. And finally, our complement, which is to Mexico. Something else you can add is a time expression, next Monday. And that gives us more information about the idea. The second example is negative, and it is quite simple and easy to identify. We have the example, I'm not going to learn Chinese. I'm not going to learn Chinese. We have the elements I, the verb to be in the contraction with I'm, and then we have the word that identifies it as a negative sentence, not, and then we have our expression for the future, verb in simple form, always after going to, and Chinese, which is our complement. And also, one more time, we can add a time expression. We can say, I'm not going to learn Chinese this year. Meaning that we do not have any plans of doing such thing. And remember that for questions, what we do... Sorry, there was a little interruption there. Well, let's continue. Yes, so what we do is we make an inversion of items. Instead of you are, we're going to say are you. And the result is, are you going to visit us tomorrow? Are you going to visit us tomorrow? And the possible answer can be yes, we are. Why are? Because in the question we're using the auxiliary are, so the answer has to be answered with the same one. If we want to make an information question, we just insert our question word in the beginning, and the result is, what is she going to buy for me? What is she going to buy for me? And then we have our elements, the question word, auxiliary to be, subject, the expression going to, and our verb in simple form, as well as our complement. Possible answer can be is, she is going to buy a camera. Let's move on. We have some examples here in all its forms. We have, I'm going to work tomorrow. I'm not going to work tomorrow. Am I going to work tomorrow? And what am I going to do tomorrow? Well, the last one changes a little bit because we don't know. We cannot use this word, otherwise it would be illogical or it would have no sense at all. So, just remember, verb to be is always present. And don't forget to use a verb in simple form. Very important. Let's continue with our final item, the present perfect and the simple past. We have two examples here, which are very similar. The first one, I've been to Canada. I've been to Canada. And the second one, I was in Canada last year. I was in Canada last year. In the first one, we have the present perfect, and in the second one, we're using the simple past. We're going to analyze their difference in a moment. Okay, now with present perfect, we have a timeline here. We have the sentence, I've been to Spain 3 times. I've been to Spain 3 times. If we consider that this point here, instead of an arrow, I'm going to write a cross. This is right now, in this moment, while you're listening to this video, listening and watching this video. And I want to mention that I visited Spain 3 times. However, we don't know exactly when, or I'm not saying exactly when, those 3 events happened. Since we don't know, it's not specific. And since it's not specific, I need the present perfect. And the result is, I have been to Spain 3 times. Many times the time expression tells us what it is or what it is needed, if it is present perfect or the simple past. Now, in the second example, I went to Spain in 2011. Then again, this is right now, this moment. And we have a specific time in the past. And since we're mentioning exactly when that happened, we need the simple past. I went to Spain in 2011 or in 2011. If we want to identify these tenses better, we can always guide ourselves by the normal expressions that are used with them. In present perfect, it is very common to use or to express it with times, already, and yet. Example with already. I have already seen that movie. I have already seen that movie. There's our expression. In the second one, I haven't finished my homework yet. I haven't finished my homework yet. And in the second one, there's our expression for the present perfect. In the last one, I have gone to Mexico City 4 times. I have gone to Mexico City 4 times. There's our expression. You can ask your teacher if you require more explanation on how to use these expressions, times, already, and yet. Now, with the simple past, we have very different expressions. For example, we have the expression last, the expression ago, and the expression in. In the first one, we have I saw a great movie last night. I saw a great movie last night. The second one, I visited my best friend 3 days ago. I visited my best friend 3 days ago. And we got our visa in March. We got our visa in March. There are expressions very different from present perfect, and as you can see, all of them are very specific. Last night, 3 days ago, in March. Let's recap very quickly before we say goodbye for today. We're looking at Unit 10 for our elementary book. We're almost finished with elementary. We covered the grammar of this book, and specifically this unit. We saw the ing form, such as these 2 words. We also... I didn't like those check marks. Future with going to, that expression that is very common in English. And finally, we saw the difference between the present perfect and the simple past. The ing form are names of activities. There's also like a description. I don't like that word very much, but name would be the better one. Also, we have to know and remember that we use them after certain verbs such as like, love, and hate. Examples: smoking is bad, having a car is very convenient, not doing your homework gives you bad results. After the verbs we just mentioned, which are love, like, and hate, I love going, I don't like walking, I hate losing. And then we moved on to the going to expression for the future. Don't forget to use the verb to be at all times. Oh, by the way, I kind of messed up a little bit here. Well, we repeated the word, and let's change it to am. Also, we saw the affirmative, the negative, the question form. Don't forget that inversion. And we have some examples. The difference between the present perfect and the simple past is that one is not specific and the other one is. We also saw some examples. All right. I hope that it was useful for you, and I hope I see you in our next video. Thank you very much.